going to start recording, and then if you can say that one more time.
I call to order the Beverage Licensing Authority meeting for October 19th, 2022.
Thank you very much. And we will start on our agenda item number 1, which is instructions for virtual hearing and rules of decorum. I'm going to share my screen so everyone can see. This is our instructions for virtual hearing and rules of decorum. The city has engaged with community members to co-create a vision for productive, meaningful, and inclusive civic conversations. This vision supports physical and emotional safety for community members, staff, and board and commission members, as well as democracy for people of all ages, identities, lived experiences, and political perspectives. More about this vision and the project's community engagement process can be found on our website, which is bouldercolorado.gov. The following are examples of rules of decorum found in the Boulder Revised Code and other guidelines that support this vision. These will be upheld during this meeting. All remarks and testimony shall be limited to matters related to city business. No participant shall make threats to you or use other forms of intimidation against any person. Obscenity, racial epithets, and other speech and behavior that disrupts or otherwise impedes the ability to conduct the meeting are prohibited. Participants are required to sign up to speak using the name they are commonly known by, and individuals must display their full name before being allowed to speak online. Currently, only audio testimony is permitted online for public comments. And everyone should be able to rename themselves with their full name if they have not already. Next on our agenda is member roll call. And if you'll give me just a second. Okay. Member Michael Carr.
Member Carr present.
Member Leah Roberts.
Member Leah Roberts present.
And member Steve Wallace.
Member Wallace present.
Thank you. And member Califano and member Absalom have let us know that they will not be attending today's hearing. But we do have a quorum with 3 members present. Great. Next on our agenda is election of chair and vice chair.
I would again like to suggest that we put that off until we have a full all the membership here sometime in the future.
I second that.
First and seconded, you want to take a poll? All in favor say aye. Member Wallace, aye.
Member Carr, aye.
Member Roberts, aye.
I'd just like to remind the other 2 members that as we are only 3 today, we must be unanimous. Failing to be unanimous, please don't feel pressure to be unanimous. Failing to be unanimous does not mean anything is turned down. It just means it has to go on to the next month.
Thank you for that reminder, member Wallace. Next, we have approval of Beverage Licensing Authority minutes from September 21st, 2022.
Everyone get a chance to read the minutes, and is there a motion to approve if there are no alterations?
Member Carr will make a motion to approve with no alterations.
Member Wallace will second.
All in favor?
Member Wallace, yes.
Member Carr, yes.
Member Roberts, yes.
Thank you. Next, we have hearing agenda issues from licensing clerk. The only one that I see on here, and I apologize, I'm filling in for Kristen Teague, so she has like the majority of the information while she was making this, but Roots Music Project has requested that they be heard potentially before their agenda is up because there is a conflict for their applicants. I believe that they have a work-related conflict. So we told them that if the board was okay with it, that they could go when the board sees fit, but that's the only agenda issue that we have.
What do the other members feel about that?
I don't have a problem with it. We can have them go at the beginning.
Leah?
Yeah, I don't have a problem with it.
I don't either. So if we want to move it to agenda item above agenda item 5. The show cause hearing.
Before the agenda item 5?
Right.
Okay, no problem. All right, and moving on, we have matters from Boulder Police Department, and I do see that Officer Denny is here.
Good afternoon. The only thing I have is I'm working on an affidavit that should be done in a short time frame. Yet hopefully we'll see the scheduling of that hopefully before the end of the year, but I guess that will depend on what's before licensing. So that's all that I have. Entertain any questions or anything.
I have one request, and Officer Denny, please just take it as a comment rather than anything else. In the show cause hearing that we have coming up, one of the things was missing that had been previously presented, and that was a narrative by the age agents who went in to attempt to make a sale of this, exactly what happened while they were in there. It was kind of helpful in being able to us for aggravating and mitigating circumstances, i.e. they asked for my ID, i.e. they didn't ask for my ID. That kind of helped a lot when we came from mitigating and aggravating circumstances, coming up with a penalty. If in the future you have an opportunity to do that, that would be a big help to me anyway, and I think to the board. And but again, I'm not here to tell you, Officer Deming, how to do your job, but just get a heads up on that.
No, I hear you. That was not my operation. I simply drafted the affidavit from the officer's report. But usually you are correct. Those operative narratives should be part of the whole packet that gets sent to the prosecutor, thus is made available to licensing and the BLA. And I know exactly the forms you're talking about. So it's we ask the operative if there's a sale to, in their own words, there's a place for them to write a short paragraph, and then, like you said, they can check boxes as far as was I asked for ID, so on and so forth. So no, you're right. I believe those do exist for this case, but if they're not with that, I apologize. There's an oversight on my part, but those are usually included because you're right, they provide some valuable information to you.
Yeah, not only to us, but also to the licensee, because oftentimes it's not the licensee who was present. And if they have a narrative from the person who actually was there, it's something that they can discuss with their employer.
Right.
Thank
Okay.
you. Thank you very much. Is there anything else, Mike or Leah? Again, thank you, Officer Denning, for everything you do. It's very appreciated.
Welcome.
For everybody on the force. Thanks.
Thank you. Next, we have matters from the Responsible Association of Retailers. I did get word from Nathan that he is not available today, and he's not working this week, so he will be in next meeting, and he said that there's no updates that he needed to give you before the next meeting. So we will move Next, we have agenda item 4, general public comment for future beverage licensing authority hearings. If you're here to give public comment about something that is not on the agenda for this month, go ahead and use the raise hand function, or you can give me a thumbs up, anything to indicate that you're here to speak on public comment. Last chance, if you're here to speak on public comment, give me a thumbs up or raise your hand. All right, I'm not seeing any. Next, we're gonna switch our agenda around a little bit, and we are going to, we're gonna skip down to agenda item number 9, which is public hearing and consideration of an application filed on August 16th, 2022 from Roots Music Project LLC, DBA Roots Music Project, 4747 Pearl Street, Suite B3A and C, Boulder, Colorado, 80301. David Kennedy, managing member and proposed registered manager, with a business mailing address of 1014 Mapleton Avenue, Boulder, Colorado, 80304, for a new lodging and entertainment type liquor license. And I see that Veronica Vecchio is here to represent this applicant.
Yes, good afternoon. And I believe Dave Kennedy as well as Patrick Maroney are on the call as well.
Thank you so much.
As the applicant is represented by counsel, I'd ask if you're willing to read the waive the reading of the procedures.
Yes, I'm willing to waive the reading of the procedures.
Thank you.
Thank you. And
Is there any ex parte or conflict of interest on the board?
Member Carr, no.
Member Roberts, no.
Thank you.
thank you. And I'll get our witnesses sworn in here. So if we can have your first witness, they can unmute themselves and say their name, their full name, spell their name, and give me their home address for the record. Whoever would like to go first, that's going to be testifying for this one.
Go ahead, Dave.
I thought Patrick was first. Sorry about that. My name's Dave Kennedy, and my address is 1014 Mapleton Avenue in Boulder.
Thank you very much. And then Patrick, if you'll say your name, spell your name, and state your address for the record.
Good afternoon. My name is Patrick Maroney, M-A-R-O-N-E-Y. Address is P.O. Box 998, Johnstown, Colorado 80534.
Thank you. And then I'll have you both raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give in front of the Beverage Licensing Authority is true?
Yes.
And do you also swear that you or your employees have posted the premise for at least 10 days prior to today's hearing?
Yes.
Thank you very much. And then Ms. Becky, I'll have you record your appearance and get started.
Thank you. Veronica Vecchio from Laszlo Law, representing Roots Music Project, bar number 37225, applying for a lodging and entertainment liquor license located at 4747 Pearl Street in Boulder, 80301. And as I mentioned previously, I'll be calling two witnesses for this application. And first I will call David Kennedy. Mr. Kennedy, if you could state your name and spell your last name for the record.
Sure. David Kennedy, Kennedy.
And what is your home address?
1014 Mapleton Avenue, Boulder, 80304.
What is your age?
56.
Do you personally consume alcoholic beverages?
I do.
And how long has Roots Music Project been operating?
We leased our space in July 2019.
And have you been the owner and operator of Roots Music Project since its inception?
Yes.
And during COVID, can you tell me a little bit about what Roots did to stay open?
Yeah, we're mainly a space for our nonprofit Roots Music Project Foundation. And we have rehearsal space and event space. And we also host teachers, music teachers. During COVID, we had to live stream a lot of our events. And eventually we actually had some in-person events. And the teachers had to teach, in small groups at a distance, and we had a lot of airflow.
Did you, at that time or at any time, have a special event liquor permit for this space?
Yes, we had probably about 50 special event liquor permits since we've opened, maybe more, actually.
And do you manage or own other liquor licensed facilities in Colorado?
Yes, I'm one of the owners of Alamo Draft House Cinemas. We're a cinema eatery concept, and we have 3 locations in Colorado. And so it's movie theaters that serve food and have a bar and restaurant operations. And then we have, at this time, about 15 licenses throughout the United States.
And how long have you been operating the Alamo Draft House Cinemas in Colorado? Uh-oh, I think you're frozen. Okay. We lost audio too, it seems like.
There's a dial-in option too.
Are you there, Dave? Are you able to hear us, Dave? Do you want to do a thumbs up? Or are you gone? Let me see if I can call him. Sorry about that. Let's see. All right, I'm going to mute and see if I can get him on the phone. 1 second.
Nope.
Well, anybody got a joke?
No joke, but I want to say hi from Chris down in Kansas City. Down at the conference here at the CBCA conference, and I'll say hello for her.
Hello, this is Dave Kennedy joining by phone.
Perfect. We can hear you.
Okay,
Okay,
great.
sorry about that.
No
I can't
worries.
believe after all this, my computer died. I'm not sure why. Sorry about that.
That's okay. All right, so let's get back to so I'd asked you how long you've been operating the Alamo Draft House Cinemas in Colorado.
In Colorado, I think we opened our first location around 2010 in Littleton.
Okay. And then how long have you been operating liquor licensed facilities across the U.S.?
What days are the strongest?
Since 2004.
And so what is your experience in terms of alcohol service training since 2004?
Yeah, we started the business as a small kind of mom and pop operation. So I had experience in all aspects of the business, including helping set the policies, create the training manuals, that type of thing for our server staff. And since that time, we've grown the business and not had any problems with our alcohol service. I've also been trained on tips training at least 3 times. And most recently, I completed training with Patrick Maroney. That's also through Patrick is where all our employees will be trained and where our volunteers have been trained to date.
Perfect. And then can you explain what your in-house training looks like in terms of ongoing training of employees?
Sure. So as I mentioned, we have them go through training with Patrick, and then we have detailed in-house training with quarterly refresher courses for all servers, managers, and owners. But our main part of training is just hiring experienced staff. And frankly, we don't have a large staff. It's a pretty small staff.
What kind of background does your manager have in terms of alcohol service?
Yeah, our beverage manager is trained and spent many years on cruise ships. And anyway, she's done a great job and has a lot of experience through working on professionally on cruise ships.
Can you explain to the BLA the overall concept of Roots Music Project?
Yeah, it's a warehouse space. It's in the industrial district on the other side of Foothills Parkway. And it's a venue and rehearsal space, but primarily it's a space for our foundation, which is Roots Music Project Foundation, which is a 501c3. And the mission is to foster the live music scene in Colorado. And part of the way we do that is by creating gig opportunities for musicians. So we have events at the warehouse space as well. And I don't know if anyone has been to any of our events, but think of it more like an E-Town or a Swallow Hill, where it's a listening room environment. So that's the event part of the business. But we also have teachers that teach from our facility.
How many people on average would attend an event at your facility?
Typically about 50 to 100.
Have you ever hired a security guard or security guard company to be present at any event?
We've only done it once at the request of a private event client. And most of our events are very tame. And if we do have, over like 150 people to 200 people, then we will hire outside security. And we work with a firm called 2A Security, which is licensed and experienced.
Okay. And what are the days and hours of operation at your facility?
On our application, we've said Monday through Sunday, 8 a.m. to 2 a.m. But that really is to give us a broad range of times to operate. Most of our events start at 7:30 and are finished by 10:30. Okay. And I don't know if we've ever had an event go beyond midnight so far. We'd like to have the ability to do that, especially for private events.
And you have patio outdoor space, is that right?
Yes, a small outdoor space because we have a garage door that opens up.
Okay. And do you use amplified speakers outside?
No, we don't. We're not in a residential area where it's definitely in an industrial area. Our neighbors are car repair shops, and but the outside area is fenced in, so it prohibits guests from going beyond the boundaries.
And what type of food do you offer at your events?
We do not have a kitchen. Yeah, we do not have a kitchen, but we do provide food, and for free, actually. We have pizza, sandwiches, and light snacks.
Okay. And what type of drinks will you be offering?
We're offering a full bar with wine, liquor, and beer.
Okay. And where will the alcohol be stored?
We have locked storage, both kind of under the bar area and also the refrigerator, which is behind the bar, is locked as well.
And when do you anticipate alcohol being served? Purely at events or?
Primarily, yeah, at events.
Okay. What is the seating capacity at your venue?
100 seats indoors and 0 outdoors.
So outdoors is just a standing room space?
Yes.
And from whom will you be purchasing the alcohol?
A licensed wholesaler to be determined.
Okay. And will you be keeping receipts and records regarding all of your alcohol purchases on the premises?
Yes.
And how do you plan on controlling alcohol on the premises in terms of where it goes physically?
Yeah, we have a number of ways to do that. One is we have signs posted that are, the no alcohol beyond this point, which we copied from Patrick's training. We also have cameras on the exterior and interior of the facility, and the outdoor area is fenced.
Okay. Do you plan to sell any alcohol to go or provide or allow alcohol to go off of the premises?
No, we don't have any kind of catering operation.
Okay. How would you handle loitering or dealing with somebody who wants to come on your premises without a ticket?
So we control the door. Almost all of our events are ticketed with paid tickets. We do have some free events, but we still control the door to who comes in. But at the same time, we train our staff to work with homeless people and to keep an eye out for folks who, somehow snuck into the event.
Okay. And how would you train a new employee versus your current employees in terms of alcohol service and policies?
Yeah, so first of all, we have them go through an outside certification program, which with Patrick Maroney, and then we have in-house training and recertification quarterly.
Okay, and what are the consequences for an employee who violates your policy in terms of serving alcohol?
If it was on purpose, they'd be fired immediately. If it was inadvertent, like accidentally serving somebody by maybe not following the procedures, then they would get a warning on the first time. They'd have to be retrained, and on the second time, they'd be terminated.
Okay, and what types of ID do you accept?
Of course, we'd accept state driver's license and passports, but we will not be accepting vertical IDs.
Okay. At this time, I will be tendering the witness to the authority for questions.
Any questions from the authority? Mike or Leah?
No questions at this time.
Leah?
No questions at this time.
Thanks. Mr. Kennedy, I have a question for you. The servers are going to be rewarded for the total sales? Is that correct?
No, they're paid an hourly rate and then they earn tips.
Okay, because it said in your under food, it says servers will be rewarded for total sales, including non-alcoholic products.
Yeah, I don't know. That must have been a mistake because that's not the case at all.
Now I was looking, this doesn't have much to do with your license, but I was looking, I'm very familiar with the location, and most of the parking spaces that are available to you are actually occupied by vehicles pretty much that have been left there rather than parked there. Do you know how many parking spaces you have that are actually really available, and has that been a problem in the past?
We have quite a few available. I think we have I'd have to go back and look at our zoning application, but there's a lot of spaces that are spaces all around the building, which, as you know, is a really big warehouse area. But typically, and you're right, like a lot of the car repair shops will have cars parked there overnight, taking up some of those spaces. But people find parking, and we've done extensive customer surveys, and we've only had one person complain, or it wasn't even a complaint about parking. It just said parking is interesting. So there's a lot of spaces on the street parking, and there's a lot of spaces just connected in all the adjoining warehouses around us, and even in our spaces. So far, we really haven't had any problems at all with parking.
Thanks. I just was wondering, as long as the Parkway Diner isn't open on when you're running it, you can get some parking spaces. Yeah.
Right. They use a lot of street parking. That's right.
Because it's a very great place. That's fine. Any other questions from the authority? Ms. Vecchio, please proceed.
Thank you. At this time, I'd like to call my next witness, Patrick Maroney. Patrick, if you could state your name and spell your last name for the record.
Yes, Patrick Maroney, Maroney.
And if you could explain to the authority your history or background in terms of liquor licensing in Colorado.
Currently, I'm a co-owner of alcohol petitioning services, doing petitions for new licenses. I also am the owner of Maroney Consulting Services that does seller server training certified by the state and consulting for all three tiers of liquor licensing. 3 years ago, I retired from my job at the state of Colorado, where I was the director for state liquor enforcement for several years. Prior to that, I have a 33-year career in law enforcement.
And what specific services did you provide to Roots Music Project?
In addition to the seller server training that Mr. Kennedy mentioned, we did a neighborhood petition for needs and desires in the neighborhood.
And what was your method in conducting the survey?
So first of all of our circulators are 21 years or older, and they wear our alcohol petitioning service apparel with a name tag, business name tag that gives their name. Each circulator had with them a clipboard, 2 of them actually, with the following. They had a map of the designated area provided by the regulatory licensing division in Bolden there, describing the area we can actually petition. They had the application summary page and for door-to-door neighborhood petitioning. The business and resident petitions forms for new lodging entertainment license were provided both for businesses and residents, and include a section where people can indicate their support or opposition to the license. And we also had a list of other lodging entertainment licenses in the area, which there's 1. And then a tally sheet for the people who decided that you don't want to sign. So each of the petitioners showed the petition forms, the area map, and were asked to read the form to the people they were petitioning and verbally told of the license type being applied for, the site location were located, and other licenses in the area, and also the applicant's name. Each person who signed the petition indicated they were either owner or manager of the business and a resident located within the area that were 21 years or older, except for 3 that I'll explain here in a little bit. Then each signature was freely and voluntarily given by any influence or circulator. We conducted a survey between Wednesday, September 28th and Saturday, October 5th on 6 different occasions, either using 1 or 2 circulators at a time.
What was your initial tally? How many total signatures did you obtain?
139.
And were there any disqualified signatures?
There were 3 disqualified. In the form, I think one person said they were an employee or a clerk. They did not indicate they were a manager or owner of the business, so they were disqualified.
Okay. And then looking at your total in favor, how many did you find in favor of licensing for Roots Music Project?
Taking away the disqualifiers, 134 in favor.
And what approximately percentage is that of total
About 98, over 98%.
in favor?
Yes.
And how many against?
2 in opposition.
Okay. And what were the reasons for the oppositions?
One put down on the form, it was too dangerous. Other person said safety concerns and no city support.
Based upon the survey conducted, do you believe the needs and desires of the neighborhood will be met by this new license?
I do. There was a lot of favorable comment for this license throughout the whole petitioning process. And I definitely believe that the needs and desires are met. You know, if you count the 2 people that said no, it was needs and desires, which I think it's hit or, you know, I'm on the fence whether I think there are needs and desires reason, but even if you take those and include those as needs and desires, still over 98% in favor, well over 130, you know, positive signatures. You know, we made 410 attempts of people, businesses and residents, and 44 of those people were not willing to sign. They had no opinion. 17 of them, 14 were too busy, 11 were not interested, and 2 people didn't give a reason why. So overall, I thought it was a very good petition. They a lot of good support for this license applicant. And I definitely believe the needs and desires have been met.
Perfect. Thank you. I'll tender this witness to the authority for questions.
Are there any questions from the authority? Mike or Leah?
I don't have any at this time.
Member Carr?
No questions.
No questions?
At this time, Roots Music Project's application for lodging and entertainment license is in order. The applicant is an experienced restaurant, bar, and entertainment venue operator. You've heard testimony that the neighborhood needs and desires have been met based upon the survey taken of over 98% approval in the neighborhood. And for these reasons, Roots Music Project respectfully requests the BLA issue a lodging and entertainment liquor license. Thank you.
Thank you. Any comments? Any other questions from the authority? I'm shaking heads. No, Mike. Okay, then let's close this to deliberate the matter. Is there any comments that you want to share with each other with regards to this before we make a motion? Dead silence. Okay.
I don't have any comments. Yeah.
Okay. Is there a motion then to approve the change to this license to a lodging and entertainment license?
Member Carl will motion to approve the license.
Is there a second?
Member Robert seconds.
Moved in second. Any discussion? Not seeing any discussion, then we will vote the motion. All in favor, say aye.
Member Carr, aye.
Member Roberts, aye.
Member Wallace, aye. Good luck, Mr. Kennedy.
Thank you very much.
Now I think we better go back to item 5.
Yes, that's right. So thank you, everyone. We will move on to agenda item 5, which is continued show cause hearing concerning an alleged June 27, 2022 violation and whether the retail liquor store type liquor license held by Hashtag Corporation, DBA Boulder Beer and Liquor Emporium, 4700 Table Mesa Drive, Boulder, Colorado, 80302 should be suspended or revoked. And I believe the applicant is here. If you were here for this, thank you. And if you'll unmute yourself.
Hi.
Hello.
Yeah.
Is it just yourself that will be appearing?
Was that?
Is it just yourself that will be appearing? Anyone else appearing for you?
No, only myself.
Okay, great. If you'll say your name, spell your name, and give your home address for the record.
Okay, my name Bharat Karki, BHARATKARKI. Home address would be 1175 Trout Creek Circle, Longmont, Colorado 80504.
Thank you. And then I'll just get you sworn in here, and then I'll let Member Wallace take it away. If you'll raise your right hand for me. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give before the Beverage Licensing Authority is true?
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you. And I'll let the authority take it.
As the licensee is not represented by counsel, I'm going to go ahead and read the procedures into the record. This is a public hearing before the Beverage Licensing Authority of the City of Boulder to determine whether or not the license of Hashtag Corporation doing business as Boulder Beer and Liquor Emporium. That's also with a retail license shall be suspended or revoked on the basis of the violations alleged in the order to show cause served upon the licensee and requiring the licensee's present here today. Because this is a disciplinary proceeding, the authority shall not ask for or allow comment from members of the general public on the guilt of the licensee or the appropriate discipline to be imposed. The purpose of this hearing is to receive testimony presented by the city and by the licensee in order to enable this authority to make findings and to determine by a preponderance of the evidence whether or not the licensee has violated the various laws as alleged. If in the course of the hearing, testimony or other evidence establishes the guilt of the licensee of a violation of some other law, rule, or regulation than those stated in the notice, the licensee shall be afforded a reasonable continuance upon any offer that evidence in defense, explanation, and mitigation is not then available to the licensee, but can be obtained within the period of the continuance not to exceed 10 days. A record is being made of these proceedings. All testimony shall be given under oath. The rules of evidence and requirement of proof and procedure shall confirm to the extent practicable to those in civil and non-jury cases. But when necessary to ascertain facts affecting the substantial rights of the public or of the licensee, the authority may receive and consider evidence not admissible under such rules if such evidence opposes probative value commonly accepted by reasonable and prudent persons in the conduct of their affairs. The rules of privilege required by law shall be respected in this proceeding, and the chair may exclude incompetent and unduly repetitious evidence. The chair shall rule upon all questions of evidence and procedure subject to being overruled on motion sustained by a majority of vote of those members of the authority present. Should a licensee wish to request a fine in lieu of active suspension days, they should notify the authority of this after a penalty is determined, if any, but before suspension posting is discussed. And the licensee should be prepared to supply an estimated per day suspension dollar amount for the authority's deliberations. Those who desire to be heard shall identify themselves by stating their name, spelling their last name, and stating their pertinent address. They shall also be sworn in by the board secretary. Is there any conflict of interest or ex parte communication from the members here?
Member Carr, no.
Member Roberts, no.
Then, Bharat, if you want to go ahead, or where's the city attorney? There it is.
Canifax or something.
Yep, this is JV Canifax with the Boulder City Attorney's Office, registration number 52327, and we've reached a stipulation on this matter.
Well, thank you. We'll go ahead and vote then to the acceptance of the stipulation. All in favor of accepting the stipulation to, is this, excuse me, Mr. Canifax, is the stipulation to fact and penalty or just fact?
It's just a stipulation to the facts here.
Okay. Is all in favor then of accepting the stipulation of fact? Please indicate by saying aye.
Member Carr, aye.
Member Roberts, I.
Member Wallace, aye. We'll accept the stipulation to fact. Mr. Canifax, if you want to proceed.
And I believe at this point, the owner of the license would be able to testify, and then the board would proceed to sentencing.
Okay. Sir, if you'd like to share with us any information you have with regards to mitigating factors that we could take into account in determining your penalty. Bharat, do you understand that?
Can you repeat that? I thought that you were talking with the lawyer.
No, I was asking if you have anything you'd like to share with us with regards to what occurred that you would like us to consider when we determine what the penalty would be.
Okay, what happened was that day, due to this all circumstance, I don't have a permanent employee working for me, so I have to work by myself for a long time, like open to close sometimes. Sometimes I get my wife come and help me out. Sometimes my daughter comes and help me out. They're eligible to work. My daughter has tips training and everything like that. And that day, what happened was my son has a doctor appointment at 9 o'clock. My son is 21 years old only, and he got all depression and these online classes and stuff like that. He goes on the CU Boulder, and he's in with the doctor visit. And my wife told me to go with the son because he has depression and anxiety, stuff like that. So we don't want him to go by himself, and I go with him at 9 o'clock. And I came with my cousin, one of my cousin. He came to visit me, and I opened the store and stay a little bit doing other stuff here. My store opened at 10 o'clock, and I told my cousin to stay here a little bit, do clean the vacuum and do the stuff like store. And I went to hospital, Longmont Clinic, and I was thinking to come back like 10 o'clock to run the store. I was around 10, something like that. And I didn't even told him to run the register or something, but he has done business back in Nepal. He's from Nepal, came to visit me, and some of the customer came in, and he was with me for the week, and he knew how to do little register thing, and he did business back in Nepal. And so he said, why should I tell customer the cashier is not here, and cashier is not here, and he take one customer, and that was the sting. So unfortunate happened that day, and I came back on time, but that unfortunate thing happened. And he went to court, he got fined, he got tip training, and he went back to Nepal, and now I'm by myself in the store.
Okay, it sounds like it sounds like your representation of what happened is exactly what we had read. I have a question for you, however, and that is, under your tips training, I don't see any evidence of either that you had been tips trained or your wife. It sounds like, and your daughter.
Yeah, my daughter has tip training. The wife doesn't work here. Why she comes once, she has other job. Once she finishes the job and she comes and do some stocking back there, cleaning. I stay on the register because I can't go back and forth. And they come and help me out on the back, stocking and organizing my back stock. And finally, I have find one employee like a couple of weeks ago, and he is already tip trained. And now I start hiring experienced employee as much as possible, like tip trained employee. And I'm try my best to avoid all those problems which come to the store. And yeah, that's all I do. And like right now I have all kind of signs like no underage people enter on the store, and there's a counter on the counter. Anybody who is 50 or below has to present the ID on the cashier place to buy the alcohol. So, and quite a few times I start taking the test, like I give several dates, and if they can purchase alcohol or not, that kind of test I start taking with the, because unfortunately they took a vertical ID and they tried to do the math on the date and they can't figure out. Even I told them not to take a vertical ID, not to take the vertical ID, and it happens.
But is there a reason why we don't have any evidence of your being tips trained either?
I'm tip trained, sir.
You are tips trained.
Yes.
One of the things you were asked was to bring was your proof of tips training. And we didn't receive any of that.
No, I sent with last time I just file an application for a renewal, and even I think last year renewal application renewal, I think Mishang Cook, whom I take with he didn't send me the card. He sent me the little paper and the certificate on the paper and email, and I forward that email and they said, okay, and that guy haven't sent me the card yet. And just lately, like a week ago, I upload that paper is still hanging on my board here where the license and stuff like that goes there. And I send the email to Erin or something who is taking care of my application for the renewal. I just send her, even first time when I filed the application and I sent that time also, and she said few documents are missing, and my accountant and me discuss, and I send again that Boulder, City of Boulder page 1 and page 2 application form plus the tip training certificate.
So you're saying that you sent the tips training certificate for both your daughter and yourself at your renewal time.
Yeah. Oh no, not the daughter. The daughter hasn't renewed yet, so she have to take another one.
No, I'm saying does she have any proof of tips training at all?
She has, yeah, she has.
And did you include it in your renewal packet?
No. She usually don't come to the store. Whenever I need, only I call her. She is in the college. When she come home, she's not a regular working here, so I didn't. I thought that tips doesn't need to send her because she's not a regular employee or something like that. I just ask their help. Sometimes my son even come and help me out to stocking on the back. He's 22 now.
You need to understand that the requirement is that anyone involved in the sale of alcohol, and I know you're just saying it's just temporary and just when they're here for this, that it would behoove you to then get them tips trained so that you're not in violation of that requirement.
Okay, even if I call them whenever I need sometimes just to stock on the back, whenever I run the register because I can't go back and forth oftentimes, so I just tell them to come and help me on the back.
You're correct. You're correct, even when that's the situation.
Yeah, I'll make sure whoever my family member comes and work, I will tell them to do my online or whatever in-person training and submit within a week or two. I'll do that.
You've taken the tips training, so you know it's not that difficult to get that.
Yeah. I know.
But it is a requirement, and so I would only request that as going forward, if you're going to have somebody, and I totally understand you've got family members who are just pitching in and help, but every once in a while they're going to stand at the cash register and run.
No, they're not. They're not gonna. My wife not gonna come in cash register. My daughter not gonna come cash register. I'm the one only who stay on the register, and they go back and stock on the cooler.
Better safe than sorry.
That's true, sir. That's what I'm planning now. And the first time, I think on 2020, I think I send my daughter's tip training card there. It should be on the file, but I'll tell her to do new one because her tips was expired last year, I guess.
Great. Anything else you'd like to present?
I think that's also on that unfortunate happened. I tried my best to not to happen, but that happened. I'll guess it's not going to happen again. And whenever I hire employee, make sure they're well trained. I'll check them, like take a test, my internal test all the time, at least once in a week, or twice in a month, something like that. So try my best to not to occur that incident again, and strictly warn them and post one vertical ID. Never ever touch the vertical ID. Whenever there's somebody shows you vertical ID, just said no, we don't accept. Don't even do the math if it's the legal age to buy the alcohol or not. So I don't even tell them, like, don't even look the date of birth. Just said refuse it.
Great idea. Anything else? You're finished then?
Yes, sir.
Okay, well, thank you. We'll go ahead and close the hearing to deliberate now amongst ourselves. Leah and Mike, the chart, if you take a look at the chart, we generally go by the chart, failing any mitigating circumstances, and it's up to you to decide whether or not you feel there are mitigating or aggravating circumstances. Take that into account when determining a penalty. Do either one of you have a suggestion?
I did have another question, actually, for the defendant here. Sir.
Oh, I'm sorry, Member Carr. I closed it to deliberate, but if you have another question, we'll go ahead and ask the question. I apologize.
Okay, yes. My question was around the written policies. Like, do you now have a written policy in place? Like, did you have one in place at the time? You've talked about a couple of things that you're doing, but I'm just curious if you have anything, since you are hiring new employees. Have you created any written policy that you're requiring your new employees to sign onto?
Sign on the tip training?
Well, even beyond tips training, like your own personal, as the employer, if you work here, this is a condition of employment, you have to, uphold
I have
these policies.
Yes.
You have policies for them to sign?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Got it. And are you part of the the Association of Responsible Retailers, or have you been attending any of those meetings?
Meetings about this, operation kind of meetings. I haven't attended that, but I got several those things I read, and from the law enforcement agency, I get email from them, and was the state policy or something like that. I read that, but I haven't attended any meetings so far.
Okay. Thanks. Those are all my questions.
Okay. Do you have a recommendation, or Ms. Roberts, do you have a recommendation for going forward on a penalty? We don't. In your recommendation, it's just something we would discuss after you've made the recommendation. It's not something you're saying this is what we have to do. We just, in deliberation, we just come up with something that works for all of us. The chart is.
One clarification on that. So there's days served and there's abeyance days. What is the major difference between those?
So it would be 15 days, well, 14 days total license suspension if it were a hotel restaurant license with 9 days held in abeyance and 5 days served. For a liquor license store, on a first count, it is 9 days with 3 days served and 6 held in abeyance. That is the chart recommendation that we adopted, that the state has for the penalties. So so we could begin there. The chart requirement, or the chart recommendation, or what all the licensees are aware of, is that it would be 14 days because he is a retail license. It's 14 days with 3 days served, and 9 days with 3 days served and 6 days held in abeyance.
And the held in abeyance, just so you know, means that he doesn't have to serve. They're held in abeyance until a certain period has passed. And if he does
Yeah,
do another violation, then he has to serve those held in abeyance days in addition to whatever additional.
He will
violation.
have to serve those days. He will
Yeah.
not have to serve those days unless he has another violation within the time frame.
Yeah, and the idea here is to keep, to make it so that there isn't a second violation, not because then there will be a lot more days that he has to serve.
And what that would mean would be on the second violation, we would set the penalty for the second violation and then add on top of that the days held in abeyance for the first violation. So it would be a significant addition to what and on top of that, it would be the second count within the time frame, which as you can see, moves it up to a significantly more. But even so, the days in abeyance get added on to the top of that. So the days in abeyance really is a way of encouraging the licensee to make sure it doesn't happen again, because if it does, these days in abeyance will have to be served.
And
That's helpful.
can you clarify just what the term served means? What does that mean here?
It means he cannot sell alcohol.
Okay,
So
so the store can be open, but
he
alcohol
cannot sell
cannot
alcohol.
be served. Okay,
And as you can see, that's why the liquor store ones are less severe to the hotel, to the restaurant license, because they can still serve food and they just can't serve alcohol. But a retail license, it's much more basic to the outcome of the business, and so it's much less of a day served than it is for a hotel restaurant license. So the table recommendation is 9 days with 3 days served and 6 days held in abeyance. Anyone like to make an alteration to that, or we are willing to make a motion to accept that?
I know what I'm saying is, like, I have employees working right now.
Yeah, I think I'll make a motion. This is Member Carr. I'll make a motion to accept the first, or propose the first option, which is 3 days served and 6 days in abeyance.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Member Roberts?
Yep.
Sorry.
Member Roberts, aye.
Member Carr?
Member Carr, aye.
Member Wallace, aye. Sorry. There's an order in it, and I didn't follow the order correctly. So, sir, what we need to do now is set a date to begin the service. Does either Laurel or Caitlin, has there been since it's been so long since we've been doing this, is there, and I haven't been present for Kevin's absence, since you've been doing this, is there any new way of determining what the date will begin be? Or what, because we like to be consistent when we do these things. And so is there a procedure that either one of you remember that we do? Now, I remember that we choose the first Monday after today, if you're able to get the posters together. So that would be on the, I don't have a calendar, but that's upcoming
24th.
Monday, 24th would be when it would begin, and it would be for 24th, 25th, and 26th. So it'd be midnight on the 20th, or midnight on the 24th, which are or 1 midnight on the 23rd would be my proposal. When the penalty would be served. Anything from Laurel or Caitlin?
To my knowledge, there's no new way of doing anything. This is one of the first show causes that I've seen since the.
Then let's go ahead and do what we used to do all the times. As I said, it's really important, I think, for us to be consistent with these things. So as a licensee comes in, they know what to expect, and there's nothing. So I would make a motion to the penalty to begin at midnight on the 23rd, which means the first minute of the 24th, and then continue until midnight on the 27th. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
This is Member Carr. I'll second that motion.
All in favor, say aye. Member Carr,
Member Carr, aye.
Member Roberts,
Member Roberts, aye.
Member Wallace, aye. Caitlin, you'll be able to get a poster ready?
Our office will definitely be able to take care of it tomorrow.
This is a new thing for the licensee, so if you could just help them out.
Absolutely, no problem.
On to agenda item 6.
1 second for me, sorry. Just want to make sure I got all these dates right. Okay, thanks for your patience. Yes, we are moving on to agenda item 6, which is public hearing and consideration of an application filed on July 13th, 2022 from Mod Market LLC, DBA Modern Market, 1600 28th Street, Suite 1212, Boulder, Colorado 80301. Tolo Food Management LLC, 100% owner and managing member of Licensee LLC. Rob McCollin, owner and member of Licensee LLC and registered manager. And Anthony Pigliacampo, owner and member of Licensee LLC. And with additional individuals stated as Bacardi Ficciani and Stuart Winburn III, owning over 10% interest in Licensee LLC, with a premise business mailing address for a renewal of a beer and wine type liquor license. And I see that we do have representatives from Mod Market here. So looks like Mr. Hayes is here.
Yep, hello.
And will there be anyone else joining you?
It's just me.
Great. If you'll just say your name, spell your name, and give your home address for the record.
Okay, Nick Hayes, NickHayes, 9854 South Clifton Court, Littleton, Colorado.
Thank you. And how are you associated with the license?
I am the Senior Regional Director of Colorado.
Thank you. And if you'll raise your right hand for me. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give before the Beverage Licensing Authority is true?
I do.
And do you swear that the premise has been posted for at least 10 days prior to today's hearing?
Can you repeat that?
Do you swear that the premise has been posted for at least 10 days prior to today's hearing?
I do.
Thank you. I'll let the authority proceed.
Mr. Hayes, as you're not represented by counsel, and since I have not read these minutes, there's this procedure into the minutes before, I'm going to go ahead and read them in. This is a public hearing before the Beverage Licensing Authority of the City of Boulder to determine whether or not the application of Mod Market LLC, doing business as Modern Market, for a renewal of a beer and wine type liquor license shall be granted or denied. This hearing is conducted pursuant to the laws of the state of Colorado and the rules of the Beverage Licensing Authority of the City of Boulder. The purpose of this hearing is to receive information, data, and testimony by interested parties in order to enable this authority to make the findings and to reach the conclusions required to be made by state law as to whether or not the license shall be renewed. Interested parties are the applicant, residents of the neighborhood affected by the license, as previously determined by the authority, and the owners and managers of the business located within the neighborhood. This hearing shall be limited to the question of whether there is good cause not to renew the license as set forth in the hearing. And it was dated July 13th, 2022. A record is being made of these proceedings. Those who desire to be heard shall identify themselves by stating their name, spelling their last name, and stating their pertinent address. They shall also be sworn in by the board secretary. Is there any conflict of interest or ex parte from the members of the association?
Member Carr, no.
Member Roberts, no.
Are there any interested parties or persons who will act as a witness for interested parties? Any members of the general public who wish to supply comment as interested parties because they are not located in the designated neighborhood? The comment, only those located in the designated neighborhood, sorry. Not seeing anyone, then would you like to proceed, Mr. Hayes, with regards to why you're here and how we can go forward?
Yes, please.
Please do.
Are you asking me to give my statement?
Yes.
Oh,
why are
okay.
we here? Why are we here, Mr. Hayes?
Oh, okay. Well,
why are you here?
That is a great question. We are here, I'm here, because our renewal that came through via email to our CEO and our accounting team was the CEO received the email, accounting team did not, it went into the spam folder. CEO thought that accounting would handle it. Upon further review, we found that the email, it had passed, we had missed our renewal time. We've had a license since 2009. We've, we haven't been in any trouble. What we've done to mitigate this in the future is we've added these terms to our calendar. We've had IT go through our email because this is not the first email that has happened to find it into the spam to change the settings. I'm not IT, so I can't speak to that. But that's pretty much it in a nutshell.
Caitlin, is there's nothing, there are no sales tax issues with regards to this, right?
That's correct.
Correct.
Okay. Any questions for Mr. Hayes from the authority? Ms. Roberts? Then I would just ask, you've got quite a few licenses now in Colorado. And Mr. Hayes, do you have any other businesses similar to this that you also are involved in?
I do, yeah. Yeah, we have 17 licenses now, and we've added all 17 to our accounting calendar for the renewal.
That's what I was going to suggest you do, is you have somebody whose job it is on a specific, to go through on a regular basis to determine what days you need to respond. The whole reason we set it up this way is because it's an added amount of work for our city staff when this happens, and we want to bring this to your attention that it happened in an attempt to try to make sure it doesn't happen again. And it sounds like you've taken some action to make sure it doesn't happen again. Is there anything else you'd like to expound on the issue that we can make sure that we don't need to see you again?
Well, Mr. Wallace, I appreciate that. You will not see me again. I can promise you that. We will not go through this. It's, it's really embarrassing. And so we've gone through all the steps to make sure that we will not be here.
Well, thanks. Any questions from the authority? Not seeing anything. Is there we'll go and close to deliberate. Is there a motion?
Member Carr will make a motion to approve the renewal.
Is there a second?
Member Roberts seconds the motion.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Not hearing any. Then let's vote. Member Carr.
Member Carr, aye.
Member Roberts.
Member Roberts, aye.
Member Wallace, aye. There you go.
Awesome. Thank you for your time. Sorry I wasted your time on this, but thank you. Have a great day.
Keep on keeping on.
We will. Take care.
Thank you. We can move on to agenda item 7, which is public hearing and consideration of an application filed on July 13th, 2022 from Raglan Market Gun Barrel LLC, DBA Raglan Market, 5378 Gun Barrel Center Court, Unit 2, Boulder, Colorado 80301. Matthew Jensen, 100% owner, and with Megan Jensen as registered manager with a premise business mailing address for renewal of a hotel restaurant side liquor license. And I believe Matthew is present. And Mr. Jensen, will anyone else be appearing with you?
No, just me today.
Okay, if you'll say your name, spell your name, and give your home address for the record.
Matthew Jansen, MATTHEW, JANSEN, 2190 Upland Avenue, Boulder, Colorado, 80304.
Thank you. And then if you'll raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give to the BLA is true?
Yes.
And do you swear or affirm that you or your employees have posted the premise 10 days prior to today's hearing?
Yes.
Thank you.
Matthew, since you've been here while we've been proceeding, we read the procedures into the record. Would you be willing to waive the reading of them again?
Yes.
Thank you. And then if you would like to then go ahead, actually, is there anyone in the audience or who's online with us here today who'd like to give evidence? Not seeing anyone, I'm going to ask if there's any conflicts of interest or ex parte communication from the authority.
Member Carr, no.
Member Roberts, no.
Member Wallace, no. So Matthew, if you just want to go ahead and explain to us why you're here today. Because you got better things to do and we got better.
We're here today because our application to renew our license was 8 days late. And I was also here for the previous hearing. We get most of our mail at a different address than the restaurant. And just a piece of mail got lost in the shuffle. We were 8 days late and here we are. I've also made it a point, I have 2 liquor licenses, so I will not miss the application renewals in the future. It's really just a dumb mistake on our part.
Anything else?
That is it today.
Caitlin, there's not a problem with sales tax?
No.
Okay, any questions from the authority for Mr. Jansen? Not seeing any, then I'm going to just make a suggestion that you get an old school calendar and just put a big red circle around the date when both of those 2 licenses have to be renewed.
We gotcha.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, let's go ahead and close this for deliberation. Is there any discussion? Or is there a motion?
Member Carr will make a motion to approve the renewal.
I'll second
There's
the
a-
motion.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Not seeing any. All in favor, Member Carr?
Member Carr, aye.
Member Roberts, aye.
Member Wallace, aye. Good luck, Matthew. Come on. Don't do this.
Thank you for your time.
Okay.
Thank you. Next, we have agenda item, make sure you got the right one, 8 here. Agenda item 8, public hearing and consideration of an application filed on July 26, 2022 from Shreya Sandier Inc. and 7-Eleven Inc. DBA 7-Eleven store 13164B, 2605 Belmont Road, Boulder, Colorado 80304. Shreya Sandier Inc. franchisee LLC with Carnuker Santier as president and 100% shareholder of Franchise LLC, and with 7-Eleven Inc. Franchisor Corp. 100% owned by SEJ Asset Management and Investment Company, and with Joseph DePinto as president, CEO, and director, Rankin Gassaway as senior vice president, secretary, and general counsel, and with Stanley Reynolds, executive vice president and chief financial officer of Franchisor Corp., with no other persons owning more than 10% interest in Franchisor Corp., with a business mailing address of P.O. Box 219088, Dallas, Texas 75221, for a renewal of a fermented malt beverage off-premise type liquor license. And I see that Mr. Coates is present for this licensee. Mr. Coates, if you'll just record your appearance for me and let me know who else is going to be appearing today.
Good afternoon. Kevin Coates here on behalf of Sandier Inc., Shree Sandier Inc. and 7-Eleven Incorporated. My registration number is 25995, and I'm counsel here from Dill and Dill. Mark Beeson is present. He is an area leader with 7-Eleven, and Mr. Sandier is also present. He is the sole shareholder, director and officer of Shree Sandier Inc. Incorporated.
Thank you very much. And I'll have Mr. Santer or Mr. Beeson go first, whoever would like to. If they're going to give testimony, I'll get them for it.
I believe if they're listening, Mark, KK, there you go. Can you guys unmute yourself and pull up the video?
Yeah,
Thank you. If you'll just say your name, spell your name, and give your home address for the record.
good afternoon. My name is Karunakar Sandhir, and it's spelled as Karunakar, last name Sandhir, and my home address is 4220 Thunderbird Circle, Boulder, Colorado, 80303.
Thank you. And then go ahead.
And then Mark Beeson, last name Beeson. Address is 5205 East 148th Place, Thornton, Colorado, 80602.
Great, thank you. If you'll both raise your right hand for me, if you can. Thank you. Do you swear or affirm that the statement you're about to give before the Beverage Licensing Authority is true?
I do.
I do.
And do you swear or affirm that you or your employees have posted the premise at least 10 days prior to today's hearing?
Yes, I did that myself.
Thank you. I think that's it for witnesses, so I'll hand it back over to
Okay, as you are represented by counsel, I've asked Mr. Coach if you'd be willing to waive the reading of the procedures into the record.
Absolutely, Mr. Wallace. Thank you.
Okay, then any conflict of interest or ex parte for any of the members here present? Member Carr?
Member Carr, no.
Member Roberts?
Member Roberts, no.
Member Wallace, no. If there's anyone here present who wishes to speak to the renewal of this license, don't see anyone, but if you do, please let us know by unmuting yourself. Not seeing anyone, then Mr. Coates, if you'd like to go ahead and explain to us why we're here.
Thank you, Mr. Wallace. The renewal in this particular matter is, as you recall, it's a joint license. So it's 7-Eleven Incorporated and KK's entity, which is Sharia Sandhir Inc. 7-Eleven does the renewals from Irving, Texas, for all of it throughout the country, but certainly all of the ones here in Colorado. The renewal was due on July 24th, which I think was a Sunday. It wasn't filed until July 26th. It was incomplete because it didn't include in it the information associated with training, as well as there was a tax issue, which is my understanding has been paid. 7-Eleven during this time frame, actually about the third week in July, nationwide laid off about 800 administrative employees, and with that went a lot of historic knowledge about how to do things in certain jurisdictions, particularly here in Boulder. So the renewal was not timely filed, and lacked the necessary and proper information associated with training, which has been submitted. All of the employees have been TIPS trained. All the employees previously had been come of age trained through the 7-Eleven process, their computer-based module training. So everyone there at the store had been working with that training, but now everyone's been TIPS trained, is my understanding, and those forms have been filed. I've spoken with the folks down in Irving, Texas, and told them about obviously the circumstances here with Boulder, that we have to particularly be very careful with renewals, because it creates a lot of work for the staff here and for the individuals here in Boulder when they're not timely done and they're not complete. But I think more importantly, Mr. Beeson and Mr. Sandhir locally here have taken this up on a process going forward. And I think that's what they put in their compliance, that every year they will be on top of this, not by July 24th, but I think July 1 is really the date that they need to evaluate this and make sure that everything is in compliance. All employees will be trained going forward within 60 days of hire as well. But you used a good term, Mr. Wallace, that is to pull out the red pen and circle the calendar date. I think the date they're going to circle here is July 1, and start working through the process to make sure that it's complete. Taxes are reviewed, training is complete, filled out, done, and submitted by the 24th going forward. So these two gentlemen are here for any additional questions you may have. And again, we understand that this does causes work for everybody here. And for that, both the applicant 7-Eleven Inc. as well as Mr. Sand here Incorporated are sorry for that, and have set up mechanisms going forward to not be here next year with the same problem.
Any questions from the authority for the licensees or Mr. Coates? Not seeing any, then I just have a couple of questions. Number one, you have here pretty much, besides Mr. Sand here, just 3 other people who've been trained in the tips, and then one who was planning to be trained. And they were done in August of this, the latest. Did they ever go out of compliance?
Well, so yes, they would have been out of compliance, but if you remember during the COVID period, the online responsible vendor training wasn't required. So when KK took over the store in April of 2021 during the middle of COVID, basically, they used all the come of age training program through 7-Eleven. All these employees have been there since then. So when it came to their attention that obviously it has to be online, it cannot be online training, or it cannot be, it has to be responsible vendor training through tips. He went out and had everybody trained. So everyone has, so there was not compliance, if that's your question. But there's certainly compliance now. The last individual, I believe it's the 5th individual, was trained on October 12th. And that training did occur.
Another question for you then. I'm in the store with some frequency, and I'm sorry, Mr. Sandier, I've not seen you there, but I see many employees in there, and more than that are listed here on the sheet.
My understanding. Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry about that. Because I do have some employees work in my Broomfield store. So because of COVID, somebody gets sick or something. So what I do is I just take some people from here for a couple of days to help us out over there. And the employees are working over there. They're not working. They just start working over there.
If there's any potential for them to be selling alcohol at your location in Boulder, then their tip certification needs to be on file.
Yes, but none of the employees are working over there more than 60 days. So I have my regular employees, and they are all tips trained except one. So we got him trained a few days ago.
Because there are employees who were there from the previous ownership as well.
They were tip trained. And some of the manager, Sudesh, and his wife Usha, I think they were tip trained before. So when I took over the store, there was I was not informed that I had to do any of this type of training. So this time around, when I received the letter, so I make sure everybody has the tips training done, including myself.
All right. As I say, I'm in the store with some frequency. Now that I have a list of the employees, it'll be helpful.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Mr. Wallace, I think what you're also saying to Mr. Sander is make sure that anybody that's there is tips trained.
Yes.
I don't have a reputation for being subtle, but maybe I was being a little too subtle.
Well, you didn't used to have a beard the last time I saw you, Mr. Wallace, either, but I didn't either.
You're right. It's been some time. But so those are the only questions I had. I want to make sure. And with regards to the taxes, what was the story behind the taxes?
So my understanding is it was $273, maybe $273.63 that hadn't been paid. I don't know why. It was sales tax amount. It was cleaned up and fixed. Certainly, Mr. Beeson has the paperwork to show that both 7-Eleven took care of it as well as the department.
Okay. Any other questions possibly from Member Carr or Member Roberts? Not seeing any, then we're going to go ahead and close this to deliberate. Is there a motion to approve the renewal of this license?
Member Carr will make a motion to approve the renewal of the liquor license.
Member Roberts seconds the motion.
Moved and seconded. Member Wallace. Moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye. Member Carr.
Aye.
Member Roberts.
Aye.
Member Wallace. Aye. Good luck. We don't need to see you again. Okay.
Appreciate it.
Back to doing what you're
Thank you for
doing.
your time today.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Appreciate your time, folks. Have a good
Okay.
day.
Yep, you too.
All right, thank you.
Number 10.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
10.
Okay. Next on our agenda, we have matters from Assistant City Attorney.
I don't have anything this month, but it's good to see you all. Thanks for sticking with us.
And next we have matters from licensing clerk. The first matter on there is applications for outdoor dining pilot program. On your agenda, it has some information that there have been 23 outdoor dining pilot programs issued since October 3rd, and there's no pending applications remaining. And then there's some more information about like what the window looks like for that. If you guys have any questions, please let us know. And we're very happy that we've gotten that, all of that pushed through. So that was exciting for licensing. Next we have neighborhood boundary setting for applications for November 16th, 2022. And here we have 1468 Pearl Street LLC DBA Postino Wine Shop at 1468 Pearl Street Unit 110, Boulder, Colorado 80302 for a new beer and wine side liquor license. I found that the closest and the most recent boundaries for this was Avanti, and it's just catty corner across the street, across Pearl Street there. And theirs were Cedar Avenue extended on the north, Pleasant Street extended on the south, 4th Street on the east, and Folsom on the west.
Only question I have on that is Pleasant Street. It's way at the top of the hill. Usually we stop. But so moved.
Okay.
There's a second?
I'll second that. Member Carr will second that.
All in favor? Member Carr?
Aye.
Member Roberts?
Aye.
Member Wallace?
Thank you. And then if you ever have a request to see like a map or where that is in relationship to each other when we give you those kinds of things, just ask and I'll share my screen, or whoever's doing that will share their screen, because I don't know how you have the map in your brain, but I have to look at it.
Yeah. I've got the map. I've got the map in my brain and every building on every corner. So.
I believe it.
Google Maps makes this a lot easier. I'll say that.
Okay, so next we have expected administrative processing of liquor license transfer applications. There's 2 on there. If you have any questions about those, let us know. Otherwise, we'll just move on.
Is it new ownership at Petty John's?
It is, yes. Excuse me.
Such a long time they've owned it, so it's interesting.
And through the pandemic to come out on the other side.
Right.
I apologize. I have one very important. Yes, Petty John's is a new owner.
You probably want to retire like me. So.
And then there were no breweries, wineries, or distilleries for this month. And then we provided the special event liquor permit list for you. And then the last thing we have on here are some discussions that I actually will hand over to Kristen. Looks like the first one is discussion of virtual versus in-person hearings.
Thanks, Caitlin. So at our last meeting, we talked about having a discussion amongst the board members about whether you'd like to continue to hold virtual hearings or transition to in-person hearings or some sort of hybrid model. The direction that we received was to kind of continue that discussion until we had more board members present to participate in it. Given that we only have 3, would the board like to have that discussion tonight or continue it until the November hearing?
No, I'd like to move from the online to in-person as soon as possible. We are a quasi judicial board, and I think as such, the judicial aspect of what we do is important that we do it in person. And we affect people's businesses, and we can affect them very seriously, their future. And I, for one, would prefer to do that in person rather than online. The only reason I would prefer to do it tonight rather than to move it forward is because that means it's another month we go forward. And without, do you know if there, Caitlin, are there any show causes next?
I don't, let me triple check for you. I don't think.
Because I know that the Officer Denning was going to go ahead and do some enforcement. And I don't know if the one licensee was it, but probably not, because he announced he was going to be doing the enforcement last month. And as I said, I would prefer, when doing the judicial portion of our job, that we do it in person, and that's why I would like to go forward to going back to doing these things in person.
I think that, oh, can you guys hear me? Yeah, okay. I'm definitely open to having the discussion. I feel like we would need the other board members though, maybe, I mean.
No, we can do it as 3.
Okay. Well,
and the other two board members are entirely familiar with what the 2 things are, but both the doing it in person and doing it. And so we made this we did this because we had to, because of the pandemic. But it's really it's a very different animal than doing it in person. And as I said, so I think the 3 of us can. But if we don't have unanimity, then we could just push it on to next month. I'm not trying to force anything through. Just like I speak in the imperative, so it sounds often like I'm saying this is what we have to do, but I'm just saying this is what I would like to do. So.
Well, I guess maybe I brought that up because I am in opposition. I wouldn't have been able to attend today. My whole house has hand, foot, mouth disease. I have twin toddlers. So I wouldn't want to come and expose you guys to that. So I think when I applied for this, I knew that there was a chance of going in person, but it was also made very clear that it would at least be a hybrid possibility. So I'm afraid that I would end up missing meetings. I have twin toddlers. I don't know. I'm worried I would miss more meetings. That's why I don't want to go to full in person.
Yeah, because it's only 2 meetings a year you're allowed to miss. I think you've already been there. So.
I've already been there. Well, I wasn't.
June and.
I mean, since I've been sworn in, I missed 1 meeting.
Just 1, okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
No, is a hybrid an option? Kristen?
I do believe hybrid will be an option. Staff is going to be receiving some training on that technology in the coming weeks, so we'll learn more about what exactly that would look like. But in the ordinance that City Council passed regarding in-person and virtual meetings for boards and commissions, they did have an option for hybrid meetings if the board chooses to do that.
I would feel more comfortable with that.
Yeah, I think we're not going to be able to proceed then this month. We'll have to push it on to next month.
That was kind of why I brought it up. I knew it wasn't going to be a unanimous. Mike, were you saying something? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was just going to say I like the idea of meeting in person, but I at the same time like recognize that I wouldn't be on time for some of the meetings just because I have my work schedule. Sometimes I have meetings that go like right up. So I'm jumping from a work meeting right to a BLA meeting. So I just wouldn't have any time to make it downtown necessarily. So I would love hybrid. That's something that I would be down for. And I would try to make as many meetings in person as I could, but just realizing that I work and I'm very busy. Just, I'm still fully working. So I wouldn't be able to make all of them in person.
As long as we go forward, I'm not certain, we will transition into a hybrid. I'm not certain that's always going to be available. But anyway, you have to push it on the next month, so.
And to answer your question, Member Wallace, there is a show cause in November and also it's scheduled in December. So I'm sorry, I was mistaken.
There's also what?
There's one scheduled for November and one scheduled for December, just to answer your question. For
Okay,
show cause.
thanks.
And it's definitely, I've been looking forward for a reason to get out of the house. So I would like the opportunity to have somewhere I need to go.
When and if you're able to get to an in-person meeting, you'll be able to see what I'm talking about. So it's really hard.
I'm sure. I miss being around people. I worked at home before, and then I had kids right before the pandemic. So I look forward to being able to serve the community in a full capacity. I'm just not sure that I can commit to that in
Well,
person.
we wouldn't have wanted you this month anyway.
No, you wouldn't have. Yes, it's gross in my house right now.
Okay. So the retreat scheduling, we really, Kristen, what do we got there?
So similar situation with the retreat scheduling. We had talked about this at the last meeting and had discussed postponing that scheduling until we had more members present. Would you all like to talk about scheduling your retreat at this meeting, or would you like to postpone that until November?
I don't think we can commit the other two members to a date or time when they may not be available. So.
Would you mind just saying what the retreat is? This is my first time hearing about it. Well, besides last meeting when it was brought up in the same context.
Once a year, we get together because there's always a new member on the board every year, and we go through the procedures that we've been operating under up until that point, and there may be suggestions as to how can we change what we're doing, what can we do new that we need to do, and sometimes it's what will we have to do as a result of change in the law.
Mm-hmm.
It's getting us up to date on things that may or may not. Now, this time it may be helpful to have it after the election because there may be some changes coming up to the law that we will have to go over in the retreat. So it is something the city of Boulder does not allow any meetings of us without posting publicly. So there's always the option for someone from the public to come and give us their suggestions on how we should do things as well.
And
we'll change rules of procedure and things too. Like we can talk about how you guys want to operate as well as like legally, but like what do you want to change that's happened? It's a good opportunity for that. Sorry.
No, that was very helpful, Laurel. Thank you. Is it like a daytime? Like, is it how many hours? I guess you say retreat. I'm like, am I gone for 2 days? What am I looking at here?
Yes, we'll be at the St. Regis in Aspen for several days.
Look, as long as I have room service and
No, it's just in the afternoon usually.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, and the board can decide if you prefer a morning retreat or an afternoon retreat. We typically schedule them for about 4 hours, but all those details are decided by members of the board.
Are we able to schedule that for a weekend day as well?
That is an option if the board would like to do a weekend day.
Great.
Anything else?
The last item on this particular agenda item is establishing a quorum for the December 21st, 2022 BLA hearing. So I recognize that is getting pretty close to the Christmas holiday. We do have some new applications that we would like to schedule for that hearing if we have a quorum, but we wanted to check in with the board and see if we're anticipating having a quorum on December 21st. If not, do we want to look at scheduling the hearing a week earlier or a week later, or do we need to cancel it altogether? And just for the record, staff would prefer to have a hearing in December if we're able to establish a quorum, just because we do have a high volume of applications in our queue, and some people that would really like to get on the agenda for that month, but I'll leave it up to the board.
So Christmas is on the following Sunday and the meeting is on Wednesday. Any feedback?
I should be able to attend it. Yeah.
Yeah, I should be able to attend.
So at this point, we have a quorum present. Who's going to be willing to be able to attend?
Excellent, thank you all. That's all that I had, thank you.
Thank
The
you.
next agenda item is adjournment.
Well, matters from the chair and members of the authority, if anyone has.
Oh, okay. Oh, there we go. You're right. Number 12. Oh, okay. Anybody have anything? Come on. Nothing? Roberts, nothing? Officer Denny, anything you'd like to?
No, I mean, I guess I'll totally up to you guys. I'll throw my 2 cents in on the in-person. So it was always my experience that it's a real pain for business owners to make their way downtown, find parking, get into the council chambers. You know, the majority of the board's business is dealing with renewals and new applications, and then throw a few show cause hearings in there throughout the year. I do think that show cause hearings should be in person, even if it's a stipulation that's received, because I think that's that dialogue back and forth between the BLA and the business owner is important. But I think the rest of the hearing matters could be handled effectively virtually. I'm sure the business owners appreciate being able, not having to make that trip and find parking. And you know, that's just my 2 cents. If there is a retreat scheduled, I'm hoping that will be in person, because I don't get a chance, as you guys haven't, to communicate in the same room with you guys. So just my 2 cents, my observations after, you know, doing this a while, but you know, I agree. There are times where it needs to be in person, certainly a hearing, you know, when there's going to be testimony, or there needs to be, you know, that question and answer back and forth. The rest of the matters, you know, it's.
I would just say, Officer Denning, that having to come downtown, having to find parking was some of the reasons why we did what we did. That's why we no longer allow people to renew a license that they didn't do on time by administratively. We force them to come down. We force them to come to take the time to do this. It's in many instances it was a penalty on purpose. It wasn't a mistake. It wasn't something we had to do. It was something it was built into the system as you don't want to have to do this again.
Yeah, I understand. Maybe there's also a possibility of using an alternate location too that does have more parking available and isn't quite so hard to get into for people that aren't familiar with it. But you know, just
the other thing is on granting licenses. One of the things, the most important thing that we're taking into account in giving a new license is the character of the applicant. And I find that much better to be able to do in person, is particularly if I have an issue with materials that have been brought forward. I don't like to you know, at a distance, say something that may may not be well received at a distance. I like to, if I'm going to be an asshole, I want to be there. I want to be present. So, but I'm going to be seen to be an asshole. But
Sure.
I won't be one on purpose. But if someone's going to, I mean, we've had some pretty strange stuff. Oh my gosh. And to do it by distance, it's better to do it in person. And also when it's in person, there's more a sense that it's just amongst the people who are present, rather than being broadcast over the air. Whether it's because the applicants, well, I won't bring up past stories because they've been many unpleasant times that what was unpleasant wasn't revealed until we were all present in the room. And it was important for us to have heard that before we went forward with what we were being called to do. That's the judicial part of our quasi-judicial of what we do. So it's anyway, oh my gosh, the stories. Anything else? Is there a motion to adjourn?
Member Carr will make a motion to adjourn.
For a second.
Member Roberts will second that motion.
Member, all in favor indicate by saying aye. Member Carr.
Aye.
Member Roberts.
Aye.
Member Wallace. Aye. Oh, we're done. Not bad. 4:55. Yeah.
4-5. Pretty good.
Yeah. Oh God, Mr. Roberts, I don't. Sorry, you got to go back to it.
I know. I was like, are we sure we don't want to have a longer meeting today? I can
Thanks,
hear
everybody.
them. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Get
you,
well,
guys.
Member Roberts.
Oh,
Thanks, everyone.
bye.